It's time for World of the Night with Zapagalis. Hello again, kings, queens, knights, and peasants, to another episode of World of the Night. Today we are going to do some exploring, fill out a little bit of our map, and we are also going to upgrade our farm to something more useful and spectacular. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get rockin'. Okay, so I got about 35 paper now. So we are going to start a map. I figured now's as good a time as any to make a cryptography table. A cryptography table will help you edit and expand maps, and also name them if you want. Now, the reason why I said we needed more paper, even though we already have a map, is if I use the map now, it's just a very tiny area, about one chunk in size. Lots of detail, but not very much information to fill up. So what we are going to do is take that map and add it to the cryptography table to zoom it out to get a bigger map. A level 1 map looks like that. Oh hey! It takes less paper to zoom out with a cryptography table. I did not know that. There's a level 2, and here's a level 3. Now there's also level 4 maps, but honestly I find they don't have a lot of detail to them, so I don't use them for actual map making, but for exploring, it'll do just fine. Now you notice how big of area this map covers now. What's that over there? That's a lot of mushrooms in the corner. Oh god, did we find what I think we did? Well, it is. Say hello to the rarest biome in all of Minecraft. The Mushroom Island. I have never actually seen a mushroom island myself, so this is exciting. Fun fact about mushroom islands is they are peaceful biome, which means absolutely no hostile mobs will spawn in them. So it's probably the absolute safest place to build a base or do anything with. There we go. So, mushroom biomes are covered with mycelium. Mycelium is a block that, like grass, will spread to any dirt adjacent to it. But unlike grass, you can actually plant mushrooms on it at any light level. You have to have Silk Touch to pick it up though, but other than that it's a very interesting block. And in fact it's actually based off of real life organism. This is cool. I've never seen one of these. Well, say hello to the mushroom, the only mob that spawns on the Mushroom Islands. You can actually milk them with a bowl to get mushroom stew, so they're a limitless source of food. If you shield them, they'll turn into regular cows, which you don't really want. Oh, wow. we are definitely going to have to do something over here. Okay, so my recording software had a glitch in it and I lost a lot of recording. So what I was doing was a bit of exploring. I found a few interesting things and expanded my farm. I will show you those highlights. So my farm I made into an 8x8 square. So this makes sure all the water is moist and ready. Then I also found a couple highlights. I used some maps and some item frames to mark my position. And while we're on the subject of maps, last Tuesday I released a video explaining all about making and using maps, so I highly recommend checking them out. Just click the card on screen. So let me show you what I found. So the first item of interest I located happened to be a ruined portal. So this ruined portal has a few blocks of gold around it, some crown obsidian, and regular obsidian, and its loot chest. So what I was thinking what I want to do with this is when we are ready to go into the nether, I want to restore this portal and use it as our nether base. So I placed down a map to mark it so we remember where it's at. If we head farther south, we find the next point of interest. Okay. While exploring, I also managed to find this village. Strangely enough, all of the villagers are dead, are missing. I don't know what happened to them. Maybe zombies got them. But this is where I managed to find my potatoes, carrots. Yeah, potatoes and carrots. Was hoping to find some beetroot, but that didn't happen. Yeah, so we got this village. There wasn't a whole lot of loot in it. Actually, I think I only found one loot chest total. Off in the distance we can see floating islands, which is kind of strange but cool. Now, since this was meant to be an exploring episode, I should probably do at least a little bit of exploring actually on camera. So let's check out what's to the east. You know what could be fun is if sometime later... Oh, dark oak trees. We'll have to steal some of them. What could be fun is later to find a way to get up to that floating island and we can build a base up there. I think that would be fun to do. So that is definitely a longer term project. But for now, let's get some dark oak saplings and wood.
those are a pretty nice item to have. So we'll collect a few. So we collect the seeds. And also let's get some saplings for spruce trees. How is it? Out of 2 trees, I've only gotten 1 sapling. Okay, 4's enough. Yeah, glow squid under ice. Okay, so I think that was a very productive exploration. We got pumpkins, 2 new types of trees. So yeah, definitely worth the time we put in there. Okay. First thing I want to do is plant these trees. Now, I don't want a bunch of podzilla all over the place, so I'm going to put the spruce tree where it cannot grow and make podzilla. Now, the most efficient way to use spruce saplings is to do a 2x2 tree so it grows giant. That'll give us lots of woods really quick and guarantee you we get lots of saplings back. Now, dark oak trees have to be 2x2s. So, we have enough saplings to make 2 dark oaks. Now, hopefully we get a positive return rate on saplings from them. With dark oaks, that does not always happen. Now time for Fact of the Night with Zapagalis. Welcome, weary travelers, to Fact of the Night. Today I'd like to cover some origins of common phrases still used today. Ever hear the phrase, mind your P's and Q's? Well, we say this because back in the days, bars had 2 sizes of cups. You could order a pint of ale or a quart of ale. When a patron began getting too intoxicated or rowdy and tried to order another drink, the bartender would simply tell them, mind your P's and Q's. Speaking of old bars, let's wet our whistles on this next bit of trivia. Many bars used to bake clay whistles into their cups and bowls. When a thirsty patron ran out of drink, they simply had to wet the whistles and blow to call over the barmaid for a refill. Now, don't get caught red-handed with this next fact, but in Old England, if you were caught butchering an animal you didn't own, unsurprisingly enough, you would be punished. But the only way you could be properly convicted was if you were caught with the animal's red blood on your hands. Not to give you the cold shoulder, but back in Old England, if you felt it was time for your guests to leave, you would give them a piece of cold meat from the shoulder of your butchered animal. This was a polite way to say, you may leave now. Now to relax and let your hair down. The aristocratic women of medieval times were obligated to appear in elegant hairdos that were usually piled high. The only time they would let their hair down was when they came home and relaxed. Well, I hope you learned something interesting from this. Thank you all. Continue on your travels. So let's build. Basically, right now I want to build a nice farm. So to do that, the first step was to expand the farm a bit. The next is going to be to make a walkway around it. We're gonna use our new spruce wood for that. Make some planks. Now when we place these half slabs down, they'll be waterlogged, which means they'll still be watering the crops. Yet we can walk on them without falling in. I'm not quite done expanding the farm out yet. Alright, so now I need to work on filling this area in. Okay, now that we have some soil, we need to fill this in. Now, it's unrealistic to try to fill it in top from bottom, unfortunately. But I also don't like having just teeny tiny one block thin platforms, so we are gonna go... yeah, let's say 3 blocks. Fill in an area like this. Maybe only 2 blocks. Maybe we'll do something cool with the underside of this later. Okay, so with that filled in, we can expand this all the way out once we get another hole. Before I do that, I'm gonna put in some stuff. We don't have all the supplies for the ultimate farm yet, but I'm definitely gonna have it ready for that once we get some quartz. Just to make everything look nice. There we go. Okay. Now, we will sleep and get going on the next step. Okay, so now I'm going to build a little greenhouse around it. We'll definitely be making some changes to this later. That makes a good base. Now, I stole a stone cutter from that village we found, so I am going to make use of it. Make a stack of walls. I'm not sure how this is going to look. I'm making this up on the fly. But I think it'll be pretty neat. Now, the next layer is going to be... Okay. So there is our glass dome. And there's our first crop harvest. Now what we are going to do is expand the field. And replant it. Okay. Got a little bit more wood now, so we are going to continue. I love the 2x2 trees because you get so much wood out of them with so little effort. Now we are going to go 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Made just enough planks, that's a miracle. Okay, so the next part, we are going to plant some flowers to make everything pretty. There we go. Okay, the next step is we want some bees. So, a few episodes back, one of these trees, here we go, had a bee out of it. We are going to make use of this hive. First step is to put a campfire underneath it so that we can harvest it without the bees getting mad. Okay, now that we have a campfire underneath the beehive, we can use shields on it to get honeycomb. Now, if we had done this without the beehive, the bees would get angry and try to kill us. I mean, without the campfire. We'll free up a little more space around here for the bees. Okay, so our crops are growing in very nicely. Now we need to work on collecting the bees for this. The purpose of this is the bees will live over here. Every time they go to collect flowers, they'll come all the way across to collect pollen. Once they'll pollinate it, they'll come back and pollinate these crops, which will make them grow faster. Thus, with the proper planting, you will have the fastest farm you can possibly get in the game. Now we just need to wait for bees, which means I gotta do some breeding, and yeah, so I will be back. Okay, so we got a few bees in here now. We are ready for the next step. So what we need is dispensers. And we are going to create an auto harvest system with them. Simply take a dispenser, put a bucket of water with it. You're going to need several of them. So one at each corner. While we wait on the dispensers, now before we actually use them, we need to make sure to protect the flowers, because we don't want those things to be washed away. So to do that, we are going to make some trap doors. Once we have the trapdoors, we are going to lay them down across this section here. Okay, so that will make sure that the water does not flow into the flower space. Don't ask me how those tiny trapdoors do it, but they do. Now we need a redstone input of some kind, which the cheap, most efficient way for what we are doing is going to be a button. And we will give this a quick test now. If everything works right, our flowers are totally safe. Our crops are mostly harvested, but as I said, we need it more than just those, more than just what we use. So now we know exactly where to put the other dispensers at. I'll put those in place and come back. And this is going to need the same thing. This is going to need it. Okay, now let's finish our redstone here. So basically, if we put a repeater right here, and one right here, when we hit the button now, it floods our entire field. Hit the button again. It dries up. So that'll auto-harvest our crops. I'll worry about replanting later, but for now, we need a little more decoration on this, because it looks... the roof just looks kind of odd. I think what I want to do for that is make quite a few trapdoors. Can add a little detail. Okay, so that adds a little more depth to the ceiling besides just a see-through dome. I'm not sure if I like it or not, but we'll see later. Looks like all the bees are doing their job well. Now, we cannot harvest these hives because if we do, we'll make the bees all mad. But I'm not too worried about that. Thank you all for watching. And I hope you liked today's episode, and I hope you like my little greenhouse idea. Between the bees and planting the crops in rows, it will allow the crops to grow the absolute fastest possible in the overworld. So I'm gonna end this here, and thank you all for watching. And before I go, do you know what it's called when a group of bees line up for a drink? A barbecue. Thank you all for watching, and keep on rocking Knights of the Bedrock.